Welcome to Bop DJ. My name's Jamie Hartley from Crossfader, and today we've spent the day with the Denon SC5000 player and X1800 Prime. Now, you've seen the review videos. You're probably aware of what this player in particular does, the performance features it has. But what I really wanted to know, and what I wanted to try and showcase, is how well does the player play? For say a club DJ like myself or a regular DJ, how does this compare to the industry standard currently, and how well does it actually perform in a real life situation? I thought, what better way to do this than to plan, prepare, and then even perform a short routine that I would potentially do in a club. I want to try and utilize all of these performance features, use them on real tracks, and put together a short routine. That's exactly what I'm going to do in today's video. We're going to get a few tracks together. I'm going to talk through my process and the thinking behind the performance. Hopefully you could pick up some tips and techniques you can apply to your own DJ sets. And yeah, let's see what this player really has to offer and put it through its paces. So let's have a look at some tracks and prepare this set, something that you could potentially play in a club. I've put these tracks with the Denon Engine Prime software on the laptop, put them on the USB, made a quick playlist. You can navigate really easily using this touch screen. Go to my playlist, click the playlist. To load the tracks, just literally swipe to the right. It loads the track in. We can zoom in and out of the waveform using this pinch to zoom gesture, which we're very familiar with from iPhones and iPads and similar devices. You'll notice it's already got two cue points set down here on the performance pads. These are the hot cues. It's pulled these in from my Serato DJ library. This first track we're going to use is Zara Larsson, I Would Like, the Satoru Acapella intro. It starts with just a vocal, and this is how the routine is going to start. Something I know though is I want to set a loop on one of these words. To do that, all I need to do is find the point I want. I can use the jog wheel to scroll around, and I want the word baby. This part here. To set a loop, let's pause, and we can either use the auto loop pot, which is this one, and as we scroll left and right, you'll notice the loop lengths appear in the center of the jog wheel, which is a really nice touch. It also changes up on the screen as well. I want a 2-beat loop. We can click the pot in and it will activate a 2-beat loop. You can also turn quantize on and off using the touch screen up here. There's a button for quantize. I'm going to knock that on just to make sure it locks to the grid of the track and keeps this loop in time. To save the loop, all we need to do is navigate over to the loop performance pad and click the first pad. It flashes, which means the loop's active. We press this again, it deactivates. That's great. I'm then going to bring an instrumental. We can go on to the second layer. This is one of the most important features with me just using the one player. Go on to the second layer. I can click back, scroll down either using the pot here or even just use the touch screen. I can either click to load or swipe again. Let's click to load this time the next track. This one is Zinc and Blunt Edge. It's also known as the instrumental to Miss Dynamite's While Out. Now I want to get into this track really quickly. So I'm just going to navigate to the drop. I can do this using the touch screen. There's a search feature. If I stop the track, I can then just search using my other finger and find where the drop is.
Who are you?
That's the drop. Now I want to get into this track quickly, so I'm going to beat jump backwards from the drop. This is another fantastic feature that's embedded within the Denon players. We've got the beat jump left and right buttons here. I want to set a 32 beat intro. I select the parameter using the auto loop pot at 32 beats and then just beat jump backwards. Let's set a hot cue on that point. We make sure we're on the hot cue performance pad mode and just click the first pad. That's now set the hot cue and we've got a 32 beat lead in. This will help me get into the mix nice and quick. There's another idea I wanted to implement, something that I've done with other softwares and hardwares actually. With this track, I want to create almost a VIP edit as it drops in. To do this, we're going to use the slicer mode. This is a really nice feature to have on the player and to be able to use just with a USB device. Let's scroll further into the track. I had an idea of using the slicer mode, maybe on this second phrase of the drop. I press it once, the slicer mode is active, I press it again, and now the slicer loop is active. The slicer loop will stay looping around this position, and you can notice the beats scrolling along the 8 pads at the bottom. If I then hold any of these pads, it will loop that pad. You can notice it up on the screen, and also it turns white on the pad itself. We can use the parameter buttons left and right here to chop the roll loop length down. Let's go down once, and even again. Now I know that you can play along with this in a really playful manner and create a really choppy effect. I'm going to turn quantize off so I can do this on the offbeat, and then I'm going to use this pad and do something along these lines in the performance. I can do that live in the mix, on the fly, and just be really creative with the slicer. It works great on tracks like this, instrumentals, where you can chop the bass and chop the drums up. Okay, let's move on to the next track. Layer back to the other mode, press back, scroll down, click in. Kyla, Do You Mind, the Control S 2016 remix. Bit more of a garage flavour to this. I want to get straight into the vocals of this track where the breakdown is, so let's find where the vocals start and set a cue point. Hot cue mode. We can just do this while it's playing with quantize on. So that's the start of the phrase where the vocals come in. I quite like the word coming up. I think we've got another baby that we can activate using the hot cues. Which is quite nice. I could utilize that as I bring the track into the mix over Blunt Edge, which is an instrumental track, the previous one. I also want to be able to take this track and do a creative transition to take it to a whole new BPM range, down around 100 BPM. To do that, I want to be able to set 2 loops to jump back and forward. So there's a part in this vocal breakdown that I want to activate and store 2 loops. Let's have a listen. Scroll this back a little bit. Somewhere around here. Let's try back a little bit. I'm just trying to find something interesting within this vocal that will sound okay when it's looped. Maybe go there. So I can actually set a loop while the track's playing. Let's go into loop performance mode. If I press it once and then press it again, it sets the start and the end of the loop and then stores it automatically. And then the next word, maybe this low. That sounds quite nice. I then want to be able to take this track down in BPM, but before we do that, let's have a look at what the next track that I've got in this set list. Move to the opposite layer, press back, and then let's load this track. This one, Twerk and Lambo, independent. This 105 BPM, so much slower than the last track. I've got a few hot cues already imported from my Serato DJ library. Jumping straight into the drop here, and I want to get nice and quick into the track. So this is a really nice hot cue that I'm going to be able to use. Or we've got the bar before the drop. And then we're into the track. So again, setting the hot cue so I can get into the mix really nice and quick. But let's notice this is 105 BPM at its original speed at the 0 position. Go back to the other track, we're on 131 BPM. Now I want to take this tempo range down to there, but I can't quite reach there. It'll only go down to 119. So we can actually change the range that the tempo will adjust to. To do that, we hold the shift button and we can press the pitch bend up and down, and this will change the range of the tempo. You notice it on the screen up here. It's going from +10 to +20 to +50 to +100. At 100, we can go the whole range really slow, really fast. Now, we don't need that much of a range, so let's pitch bend and shift maybe to ±20. That now will go down to to 104 BPM, which is useful. The opposite track, 105 BPM, so we can reach the BPM we need. That's a really useful feature to be able to access right there on the player. After independent twerk and Lambo, we're going to load the next track, and I'm going to go back up in BPM again. I've got an acapella this time. This is a popular acapella for DJs to use, Renegade Master, Wild Child. However, I've just noticed that the grid is not set up correctly on this acapella. So we can actually edit the grid on the player itself. It's as simple as we can hold this select and load pot, click it down and hold. These are now the grid options. We can move the grid, shift it left and right by scrolling, but you'll notice it jumps in whole beats. If you want to make a finer adjustment, we can use the jog wheel and it will adjust the grid in finer movements. But let's have a listen. We need to figure out, first of all, where the start of the phrase is. So I know that it comes in halfway through the word back. Hold this in, and then use the jog wheel to scroll the red marker, which is the start of our bar, onto that point. Hold it in again, and let's have a listen.
Back once again, will the renegade master. D4 damager, power to the people. Back once again, will the renegade master. D4 damager, the ill behavior.
Hopefully, that should be okay for us. It's well worth setting your grids correct if you were ever to use the quantize to either loop, or even if you wanted the quantize on when using the hot cues, or even if you wanted to sync multiple decks up, you would need the grid to be correct. It's really nice to be able to do this on the player, and it's a really tactile way to actually change the grids using the jog wheel and using the select load. There are a few other options in there. If you need them, you can half and 2 times and fine tune even more. I want to set up some hot cues on this acapella to then play over the opposite track.
Once again, will the renegade.
So I want one at the very start, but to set it on the very start of the beat, I'm going to have to turn quantize off, otherwise it'll lock it to the nearest grid mark, which is halfway through the word back, which we've just set up. Turn quantize off, hit the hot cue.
Back once again, will the renegade.
And I want one on Renegade and Master, so we've got Renegade and Master.
Master, renegade master. Back once again, will the renegade master. Master.
It's well worth checking your hot cues, making sure they're set up correctly and on the words that you want. I could then chop around with that acapella. I might actually want to set a loop so I can leave Renegade Master looping. To do that, let's just do it live in the mix. Put quantize on.
Back once again, will the renegade master.
I really like how tactile this is. You can just do all this stuff on the fly really easily. On to the next track, layer, back, and this is the last one of the set. We've got Moose T, Horny, and it's the instrumental version. Now this has got a very, very long intro. I've got a cue point set here, which is still leading into the track, but it doesn't drop still for a while. So I'm going to use that same technique of finding where the drop is and then beat jumping backwards, creating a 32 beat intro. Let's find where the drop is. It's still building up. There's our drop. Let's pause it there. Set up 32 beats on our parameter using the loop mode, and then beat jump backwards. Set up a hot cue. And that should lead us into the track quite nicely. Remember, this is coming in underneath Renegade Master. So it might sound quite nice with this build up. And then I can chop around with Renegade Master over the top of the drop of this track. That's cool. The one last feature that I quite like to make use of is the roll feature. Again, another of the performance pads at the bottom, and we can actually roll the track. It'll continue playing underneath, but it creates a temporary loop as we hold any of these pads. We've got such things as a half beat, quarter beat, 8th beat, 1 beat, and then these purple ones in the middle are kind of offbeat patterns. We've got a half T, 1 T, and a quarter T. I quite like the half T. That's nice. Remember, in the next video, we're going to put all of this into practice and actually perform just using one player and the X1800 mixer. We're going to try and make use of nearly all of the performance features that the SC5000 has to offer. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe, comment if you've got any questions, and I hope you enjoy the next video and the full performance. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.